Welcome to another episode of the Goonery Internet Talk Show. Got a host for you today, Xavier Finn. Is that fine to call you by your name?
Yeah, sure.
All right, right on. Or do you have an alias that you go by?
No, that's good. Xavier.
All right. Found Xavier on Twitter. What do you use Twitter for?
Basically just to rile people up, to stick my finger in and stir things. That's usually what I'm good at. But
like to stir the pot on Twitter there.
Well, who doesn't? I mean, I think that's what the main reason Twitter exists. But I use it as a news feed as well, just to kind of keep track of news outlets or personalities or people in talk radio or things like that. But for the most part, I like stirring the pot. So.
Well, we like to stir the pot over here as well. So your profile stood out. I had to get you on the Goonery. New segment, folks. Gonna do a little version of a rundown here where maybe we'll call it Goonery of the Week. And we got the list here of some of the biggest and craziest events going on in the world right now. So we're gonna run through it, whatever you want to call it. And first on the list here, fantasy football playoffs.
Yeah, the time where hearts are broken and people commit, football suicide. And it's like drinking alcohol. When you get really drunk and you're like, I'm never doing that again. When your playoffs go bad or you don't make the playoffs, I'm never doing fantasy again. And then August rolls around and there you are, right? So, yeah.
Fuck. Made the playoffs in 1 out of 2 leagues, so I don't completely hate myself. Not looking good. Teams barely hanging on. A lot of injuries. A lot of streaming options got to look into. Very stressful.
In your league, do you have ad drops in the playoffs, or do you have to stick with what you had at the end of the regular season?
Yeah, we do a little ad drop. I'm not sure if anyone's locked that's outside the playoffs. I don't think I do that in the one I commission, but yeah. What you play fantasy football?
Yeah. Yes, I am in one league. I'm in the semifinals. Won the first playoff. Austin Eckler bailed me out.
So man!
But
yeah,
him and Aaron Jones for Green Bay. Those were my.
I have both those fucks on my team, and I am terrified to start Aaron Jones. That's like my one sit him for the week, which is super stressful because he's the reason I'm in the playoffs. So I don't know what to do. I'm torn. I got to listen to my gut. Huge game last week. He never rebounds the following week, and going against a stout Bears defense, I don't like him.
Yeah, he's a bit hit or miss. He's screwed me a few times, but he's one of those guys we have to play, right? And
I'm fucking sitting him, and if I lose, then fuck me.
Yeah, well, if you win, he still gets the ring, right? So if you drop him, he still gets the ring. He participated. I use Gardner Minshew for a week.
Oh, okay.
When one of my QBs was on a bye and the other one was hurt, I picked him up. He scored 48 points. He still gets the ring at the end of the year, right? So there you go.
Yeah, Minshew magic. I was hoping I could maybe rely on a little Minshew magic, but I don't trust that either.
But it is one thing, fantasy football, I think, one where we are very much like women, right? And this may be controversial, but what we care about in fantasy football doesn't really mean anything. It is a couple of bucks between friends. It is bragging rights maybe for a month, right? Up until the Super Bowl's over, and everybody forgets about it. You maybe have some chit chat at the beginning of your draft the following year, but in the end, unless you're in one of those really high end where there's thousands of dollars and it could change your life or pay your rent, which I don't think most people are in. Most people just play it for nothing, for free. But it's kind of one of those things where your girlfriend is really into shoes or shopping.
My girlfriend just fucking hates that I play.
Yeah, well,
and watches it so much. Yeah.
We're Nordstrom. I don't know if you have a Nordstrom. In Seattle, they they ply all of these super shoppers with liquor and wine, and then they open the store up to them privately every week. Now, I don't get that. It's like, well, who cares, right? And I think that's what fantasy football is to us guys, for the most part. I know there's a lot of women out there that play fantasy football too, but for the most part, it is guys, and it doesn't make any sense. It is completely frivolous. It is a waste of time. It doesn't serve any real purpose other than entertainment and ragging on your friends, right? So
with a sprinkle of gambling in there.
I was in one league a while back where it charged $5 for every transaction. So an ad and a drop was $10. So, you know, on top of your entry fee, your pot can grow pretty big. So that's why people get really competitive, and trades are, you know, disputed. You know, accusations are flying. So it can get a little. But in the end, it is just it's another kind of layer on top of the entertainment value of the NFL. And you know, I think out of all of the leagues, and I don't play baseball fantasy or basketball, although I heard basketball is pretty cool too. Football has really cornered the market, I think, on, you know, what fantasy is and what it can become and what it is. So
yeah, it's been around for a lot of years. We'll end it with that. Move on to big volcano eruptions in the news.
Yeah, that's so I read up a little bit when you gave me the list I think a day or two ago. I read up about this a little bit more, and apparently this island in New Zealand, I think this is what you're talking about, correct?
Yep.
This island in New Zealand is actually privately owned. It's owned by a family, and the New Zealand government said that it was safe to go on there, even though geologists were like, "Hey, this thing is boiling and it's simmering and there's earthquakes everywhere." But the New Zealand government said it's okay to go. The family didn't stop them, and I was reading just horrific things about this. There were like over 20 people with burns so bad that their skin is falling off of them, like people on honeymoons and vacations and holidays. It's incredible. I mean, the earth is angry, and it should be, you know, and it's you know, taking its toll on us. But I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits out of this. There's going to be the family that owns the island is probably going to be sued. The tour operators are going to be sued. The government is probably going to be sued. There's a lot of blame to go around. And this really shouldn't happen. I mean, I look at all these people that do this in Hawaii. They get really up close to those volcanoes, and I'm like, what's stopping the volcano from just blowing its top off and incinerating everything in a 10-mile radius? There really isn't, right? So
yeah, Mother Nature is indifferent to its surroundings,
and it's angry at us humans, and it has every right to be. So
I thought it was Scientology at first.
Oh, the souls. Yeah. Did you see any? Were there any soul catchers above? Did you see any of those?
Yeah, none reported so far.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
Moving on. Tis the season. A lot of Amazon gifts at your door. With that comes a new predator wreaking havoc on apartment buildings, houses. That's Porch Pirates.
Porch Pirates. Yeah, well, I mean, if you live out in the country, you have to get what's the opposite of pirates? Like Coast Guard. I don't know.
Coast Guard, you know? British, like military.
The Merchant Marine or something, right? Is that what it is?
Captain? Yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow was always fighting like the British or something.
Oh. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, so you either get like.
I mean, you're in the uncharted waters, right? So.
You either get a dog. You either get a dog if you're in the country, or you get like one of those video doorbells. That's the only really thing you can do.
New business idea, more.
There isn't a. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, more cameras, more video cameras, and watchdogs.
There is an amazing video. I believe it's on YouTube. This guy is like a genius. He was like an engineer, I don't know where, at NASA, I think. And he developed a package that would not only record who picked it up, it would GPS track them.
Yeah.
Then it would explode with this sticky glitter all over them. Did you see this?
Yeah.
This was about
blows up in his car right outside.
Yeah, and this
Caught
is
on video.
extremely. Yeah, it was uploading directly to the cloud. So no matter what happened to the box, he could capture what happened. But I think unless that becomes an industry and we intersperse that with real packages, get a Ring, get one of those ADT video doorbells, get a menacing looking dog, and I don't know, does Amazon have insurance? Get an insurance. Look, people are going to steal. There's no stopping it. Or get one of those the keyless entries where people, UPS can just do a fob, put it inside your door.
Yeah.
So there are ways around this. There are ways.
A lot of options.
People are shitty. I mean, you just can't get around that. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Moving on, college football playoffs.
Yeah, well, I think Utah screwed the pooch. I mean, they had an opportunity.
Pac-12 themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Utah. It was all right there for them. All they had to do was beat Oregon, and they just absolutely got mauled. And I think you have to. They got it right with this time, but they got lucky this time. A lot could have went bad. What if Georgia beats LSU? What if Wisconsin beats Ohio State? Right? There would have been a lot of talk. There would have been a lot of points. Yeah, there would have been chaos. I personally think you have to go at least 6 teams, right? You have the 5 power conferences. You send it just like the NCAA basketball tournament. Those conference championships mean something. They're auto bids, and you have one at-large bid. And that
I 100% agree with you.
And that kind of is that's the placeholder for all those Notre Dame NBC fanatics, right? To say, because they're going to be like, well, we're not in a conference. Well, I'm sure you could get in a conference if you wanted to give up the NBC money, but they don't want to do that.
No.
So okay, we're going to leave a placeholder. So if you're rated in the top 6, that's your place. You have 2 buys. You treat it like a conference playoff system in the NFL. You give 2 buys to the 2 top teams, so that is an incentive to go undefeated, to run the table, to get that bye. You have to have at least 6. I went to an FCS school. It was 1AA back in the day. We had, I believe, either an 8 or 16 team playoffs. I want to say 16. It worked. It was during December. It was during the finals. You would go home. You'd follow your team. All the games are on ESPN2. This isn't about academics because all the other divisions do it. This is about the bowl and advertisers and the greed surrounding that. Because who cares about the bowls? Do you care about the bowls?
No.
Who cares? I mean, the Camping World Bowl. I got one of my good buddies went to Michigan. The Camping World Bowl. I mean, come on. That was Notre Dame, I think. It was Notre Dame.
It
was Notre Dame, Iowa State. Yeah. So anyway,
no one's watching those games.
Let's expand it to at least 6.
I agree with you. Power 5 plus 1 at large. I think that large should go to the highest ranked non-Power 5 school to at least give an underdog a chance.
Yep. And then, that's going to bump up against Notre Dame. So you kind of
because Notre Dame would take that over Memphis this year.
But how often is Notre Dame in the top 6? Not often. They're not the program that they used to be.
Yeah.
And then let's try it out at 6, and then there's going to be some more controversy, and then they'll eventually put it out to 8, and then we may one day get a 16 team. And that's what I think. I think in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be 6, 8, 16. I think that's where this is headed. There is so much money to be made. I think if you can grasp from the cold dead hands of the people that are in charge of the bowls that are slowly dying off, there's going to be a new way of thinking about things, and the playoffs are the way to go. This year the committee got bailed out. They didn't have a lot of thinking to do with Utah losing and LSU beating Georgia, but it's not always going to work out.
They got lucky,
and it hasn't.
Not sure what they talked about for that 4-hour selection show, if that even still exists.
Well, you had lunch catered, the valet, it's all kinds of stuff. They had to do. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Colin Kaepernick was up in the news recently. That seemed a little odd.
You mean with his kind of botched tryout? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the old tryout, moving the tryout last minute, nothing to come
from
it.
Well, there's two ways to look at this. There's the why do they do it in the first place? I have a feeling, even though I don't know, that was part of the collusion settlement, was that the NFL had to hold something like this for Kaepernick. Because why all of a sudden, I think it was in week 11 or 12, why on a Saturday? Why was it so rushed? I think that was the NFL kind of sticking their finger in Kaepernick's eye a little bit. Where it was like, we're going to make this really hard on you. We have to do it, but we're going to make it as inconvenient as possible. And then there's the other way. It's the Kaepernick way of looking at it, is like, if it's not going to be filmed, if this is a sham process, I'm going to take control of this. I'm going to film it. I'm going to show the world that I still have the athletic ability. I'm going to show the world that the reason why I'm not getting signed is because, of
the color of his skin.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that and the protests and and I think Chris Russo, Mad Dog Chris Russo, for those that he's right on this point, is that NFL teams and the owners, being the demographic that they are, for the most part, just don't want the controversy. They just don't want it. They would rather start.
Yeah. I didn't even want it in my news feed. They
would rather
waste
start
of everyone's time.
A Bow or an Allen, or they would rather start some no-name guy from a Division III school than deal with a news cycle about Colin Kaepernick and his socks, right? So, I feel for Kaepernick. I think that his heart overall is in the right place. His execution is really clunky, if not poor. Can he play in the NFL? Absolutely. Is he one of at least 32 best backups? Absolutely. I had an old boss a long time ago who says sometimes it's not enough to be right. And he gave me an example of his wife where he would do everything right. He'd bring home the groceries and he was still wrong because, his wife, because the wife ran the stuff. The wife in this is the NFL. The husband is Kaepernick. Right? It's not enough to be right sometimes.
Sorry,
Kaepernick can be totally right.
A little too close to home here. I teared up for a second.
Oh, with you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So now you can be at peace with it. You just know that sometimes it's not enough to be right, and I think that's the situation that Kaepernick's in. That I think what he was trying to do was honorable, and there it is a problem in society. But his execution was pretty poor.
We'll end it with that. Next on the list, impeachment all over the news.
Oh. Yeah, let's go to a non-controversial topic to another one.
Yeah, keeping with the theme of controversy.
I mean, look, this is very simple. The Constitution is very simple, right? It was a clear abuse of power. How could, if you obstruct justice / Congress, that in itself is an impeachable offense right there. It was against Nixon. This is not hard stuff, and they have turned over. Let's forget about all the Russia stuff. Let's forget about all the Ukraine. Let's forget about the call. Let's just go to that. The Congress, which is a check on the executive, who has oversight over the executive, requested documents. The White House said no witnesses, no document. Right there. That's all you need, right? So I think it's as simple as that. If you don't see that, then I can't help you. I just really think it's as simple as, if you want to go by the Constitution and what the Constitution says, that's all you really need. And that is just literally one sprinkle on top of a big sundae full of stuff.
And my thought on that is still deciding if I want to go down the polarizing viewpoints of what is known as politics
Well,
for the foreseeable future on this show.
This is your list, so
yeah.
I mean, I tried to boil it down.
I thought that was well
said.
Like
I said, you can get into all the other things. The Mueller report, which is extremely damning. You can get into witness after witness after witness saying that there was bribery and a quid pro quo. You can forget about all that. Just the obstruction of Congress into an investigation. It could have been an investigation over funding of paper clips, and it's still an impeachable offense. It's still an impeachable. It doesn't matter what it is. If you obstruct justice or obstruct Congress, that is a high crime and misdemeanor. That is a dovetail on abuse of power. It really is that simple. And I think that's the Democrats' strategy is there is so much noise that they're just trying to focus on the simplest, most digestible thing for the American public, and they're going down that route. Because it really, if you want to get right down to it and follow the Constitution, it's a slam dunk case just on that one article of impeachment.
I thought that was well said. All right, moving on, a little lighter topic. Seattle hockey team.
Yeah, I think we're. I live in Seattle. I think it's an exciting thing. They're renovating the old Key Arena, which was a point of contention about getting an NBA team here. What kind of arena is going to be used? They were going to put an arena down just south of downtown where CenturyLink and T-Mobile Park are. It's right at the intersection of 3 freeways, pretty much. But they decided to do a massive renovation on Key Arena. They're totally gutting it.
And did it get delayed a year? Did I?
No, I think it's always been. I think it's always been 2021.
Okay,
it's always been that.
I heard my insider tells me they're behind on schedule and everything.
Well, if that happens to be 2022, then you might be right. But I think it's always been 2021.
Okay.
But there's going to be this is a really great sports town. The Sounders are probably just as, if not more popular than the Mariners. I always tell people and friends that when there is a Sounders game here, especially with a rival, it turns into a European city. I've been to Premier League. I've been to Premier League matches. I've been to La Liga matches in Europe.
Yeah.
It's no different. And I remember I had a friend from Germany come in, and Portland Timbers happened to be in, and I took them to the game, and they couldn't believe that this was America. They really can't. So I think the hockey will do very well here. Great sports base. And whether or not NBA follows and comes to Key Arena, I think it's just a matter of time. I think you're either going to get an expansion, or you're going to get a team moving. New Orleans was probably close to that before they got the number 1 pick, but Sacramento was close to going at one point. So I think hockey's going to do very, very well here.
I think so too. And it showed with how quickly it took for them to get the bid and get, however many fans they needed to sign up for ticket sales, right, to get the bid. Just crushed whatever Vegas did. And look how successful that was.
Seattle is a big sports town. You have the University of Washington in town that draws really well. It's a very well.
Got the Cougs.
So, they're 4 hours east.
It's still big Coug supporters in this town.
Yes.
I was really hoping or aiming that the Goonery can be the unofficial fan page for the Seattle hockey team. So something to keep in the back pocket there.
And you're based out of Chicago, correct?
I'm from Chicago. I'm in Seattle now.
Oh, great.
So coming from Chicago to Seattle, soccer non-existent in Chicago. We got the Fire. No one gives a shit. Out here, like you said, it's fucking Europe. Sounders fans everywhere.
winning.
So I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, pumped for hockey, basketball, biggest tragedy in all of sports.
Yeah.
It should come back probably with an expansion. Bunch of stubborn owners, who knows, can't rely on a move. So we'll see. With that said, speaking of Chi-Town, saw Kris Bryant was trending recently.
Yeah, I looked it up. I guess in Seattle, as you probably know, not a big topic. Excuse me, Kris Bryant, but he has been one of the better third basemen in the league for the last, I don't know, 5 years or so.
Except for that 1 year I drafted him in fantasy.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it works. He was a league MVP, I believe, right?
In the running. Did he win?
Okay, I thought he won 1 year, but I could be wrong. I put some, I did a search because I was like, what's going on with him when you sent me over the list? And it seems that he's disputing when his clock, I guess, starts on free agency. So there's some controversy there, and that may have wider implications for other players if this ruling comes down one way or the other. But I think it's probably a mistake for Chicago to let him go. But I think he had a down year last year.
He did win in 2016.
Okay.
Thanks to our stat check guy, Daisy the dog.
Daisy the dog, cool. But he could be. I could see him, going to a place like Colorado. I could see him, going to a place like San
Francisco, to the Yankees.
Well, yeah.
Going to the Cardinals.
And just as a side note, can we get a salary cap in baseball? I mean, I think I've always thought that the whole purpose of a quote unquote league is to have similar rules for similar teams. And the fact that the Yankees have this massive, media machine behind them, and they're worth so much, and the ticket sales and everything else, the fact that they can just bulldoze anybody they really want and get that player, that to me doesn't. It's not equal. It's not a league. It'd be like, I could go dominate some 12-year-old basketball league if I wanted to, right? It's kind of the same thing, If I'm a foot taller than everybody and I weigh 100 pounds more, sure, I'm probably gonna be better year in, year out. But why don't we have an age limit? Oh, okay. Why don't we have a talent limit or whatever?
Right.
So the fact that the Yankees could just say, to damn with the luxury tax, we can pay it, while the Kansas Cities and the Seattles and, the Pittsburghs of the world have to sit back and do it the old-fashioned way. I just don't, and I hear Yankee fans on sports radio, and they are unabashed. They didn't care how much it was. They just want to win. That's all they care about. They don't care about if it's fair. They don't care about if it looks good. They just want to win. And there's something to be said for that, but there's also something to be said about an equal league where everybody's on the same footing. And I think that's where, basketball and football get it right, is that look at the parity in the NFL right now, right?
It's perfect.
Look at, even though, NBA has a lot to deal with, they still have a luxury tax, and they can go over. And you have, people colluding, in the big threes and big twos, and that's eventually going to have to be dealt with.
Might be a good transition to the last topic, December basketball.
Yeah. Well, basketball doesn't start until at least Christmas, in my mind. This is all still preseason. This is still, you look at, the Lakers are trending. The Bucks, haven't lost in a month or two. When Christmas hits and the football's over, that's when the NBA really kicks in, right? So.
Yeah,
I don't know what else you want to say on that.
No, I hear you. There's not much going on. It was kind of a joke to talk about basketball right now.
But I am surprised that the Lakers are doing so well. I really am.
I'm not. It makes too much sense that they're just going to dominate with those guys.
Are you surprised that Toronto's still doing as well without Kawhi?
Yeah.
Not that he played all the time, but yeah. Okay.
Right. I mean, they got some good guys. They had a solid foundation on that team, so I guess not too surprised. I'm a Bulls fan. That team's just young and still a disaster. There's no basketball in Seattle. It's a crime. Portland doing terrible this year.
Do you ever pop down to Portland for NBA?
Yeah, the Moda. It's a good time to go down there. Catch Damian Lillard. That shot he had last year, so clutch.
What would be worse? What would be worse? An expansion? What would be worse for Seattle? An expansion team going to another city, or an expansion team going to Vancouver, and Seattle doesn't get one? What would be worse?
Going to another city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would happen if Nashville got an NBA team over Seattle, or Vancouver got one over Seattle? What would be worse? I think Vancouver, right? I think that's a big.
Both are very disappointing results if you're a Seattle basketball fan.
Yeah, I think
I don't see that happening. I think Seattle's the next spot for a basketball team, regardless of.
Yeah, I think when the Key Arena gets finished, I walked by there the other day, and it's just it looks like somebody bombed it.
Fucking gutted. The whole thing is gutted.
Yeah, they gutted it. Yeah, they just left those pillars that go diagonal, because they said that that's some city landmark from the World's Fair and the Space Needle and all that. All right, whatever. But I think that once that arena gets done, once hockey takes off, I think it's going to be wildly successful. It's going to be just a matter of time before the NBA is back in Seattle. I'm pretty confident in that.
I agree. I think before 2025, there'll be a basketball team in Seattle. That's a little conservative. Hockey is going to do wonders for the city. People are going to be so pumped for a hockey team. I think it'll be bigger than the Sounders within a few short years, especially if they hit the ground running. Yeah.
Just good luck.
Hockey's the sport, man. Hockey is the sport.
Yeah, no, it's the best. It's probably the best live sport.
Yeah, when people go to a professional hockey game, and it's gonna open up some eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Good luck parking in good luck parking in Lower Queensland, but you get the first game.
Good time. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
You guys know where to find us. The Goonery on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Goonery.com.